Hello and welcome back to the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast. Today we are joined by Gianluca Zammit.
Hi.
Today we are episode 7, I believe. We are going to be talking about the Maltese Football Player Association summer camp that was designed for the out-of-contract players this season. Both me and Gianluca did participate in the camp. And Gianluca, you have just signed, haven't you, for a new team?
Yeah, I just signed for San Juan.
How did the deal come about?
Obviously from these games that we played and obviously the training that we got from these wonderful coaches. The coach just came to watch the normal games and obviously he contacted me after the game, because we played against a high-level team, so obviously the level was
much higher than expected, and San Juan are in the Challenge League.
Challenge League, yes.
So a bit of a drop down in competition in comparison to the teams that we played. Gianluca obviously put in 2 good performances against Zira and Hamrun. So the purpose of the camp, like he said, was a bit of a showcase camp. Give players that are looking for new teams this season a chance to play against some good competition teams and have some coaches from the other teams in the league actually attend the games and scout you. So the camp did its purpose for a lot of players and has been doing so for a number of years now. It's been a staple in Maltese football now for a few years since the inception of the Maltese Football Players Association. And the camp itself was really good this year, wasn't it?
Yeah. We had fun, And obviously this year we had a plus bonus for us. We had those sessions with Valdo, the physical sessions.
Exactly.
That we had, and the coach, Coach Pisano and Coach Matthew Gianluis, they are very experienced coaches.
Top level coaches, really organised, really good sessions, and it's just nice to start your pre-season a little earlier than the rest of the teams. That's the biggest thing I've always enjoyed about it is I'm not one myself to take an off season. I like to train and stay as fit as possible during the off season. So when given the opportunity to get 3 weeks of like high level coaching, why would you pass up on it?
We took the chance, exactly. When MFPA contacted me and they posted on social media, I obviously applied, and I know that you got some players as well. You contacted some friends and players, and it was very fun.
Yeah, I felt like a bit of a salesman for the MFPA at times. I was pulling out the black book of all my contacts, hey bro, come to the camp. It's really good. I went last time. So I rounded up a few players to go there, and it started back in June, right?
Yeah, back in June, second week of June.
Second week of June, and went through until July 2nd.
3 weeks exactly.
3 weeks exactly. I think that's the right amount of time. I don't think it needed to go on too much longer.
Yes.
Any shorter, I don't think it would have been very effective. I think it's the perfect amount of time so far. Just give us some time to get training.
Exactly.
And then obviously we've got the games in between as well, which is where you have to do the business, and that's what the main reason of the camp is. So the camp itself, it started, for people that don't know how the camp works, basically the MFPA arrange 3 weeks of training with coaches in the Maltese Football League. They bring in a group of, 24, 25 players?
24, 25 players, yes.
And the players are all out of contract. Prospective players looking to sign for new teams for the following season, which would be the 22-23 season now, which is it starts early this year, right? August?
Yes, it starts second week or third week of August. And the Challenge League starts the last week of August.
Mm-hmm. So again, it's a chance to put yourself in the shop window, get a bit of extra training if you are a little bit unfit. Some of these players do come from not training for a little while, so it's a good chance for them to...
There were some players that were not,
physically
active for these last couple of months, and there were some players that were out of contract,
Exactly, so it does allow players to get a little bit of a head start before pre-season starts with the actual teams they're going to be training with. That is a big bonus in my opinion.
Exactly.
The last thing you want as a player on trial is turning up to a team that's already midway through pre-season and having not trained for 3 or 4 months, it's not putting you in a great position to succeed.
It helped us a lot, because we started, like you said, 3 weeks ago, and it got us ready for the pre-season. It was a mini pre-season for us, but we had fun together.
It was very good experience. Like we said, it finished on the 2nd of July, so we're about a week and a half off of just finishing. Thought it was the right time to bring Gianluca in, someone who's got experience, obviously participating in the camp, and we can give you guys a bit of a breakdown on how things went, what we think worked well, maybe 1 or 2 points that we could push on for next year to improve the camp, and then also something that is quite interesting at the end that will help us compare the 2 camps that last happened. Would you say you benefited from this year's camp? How did you feel it benefited you? You mentioned a little bit about the fitness.
Yes, it helped me a lot, because the coach is experienced a lot, and every time, every player makes mistakes or make a move, that in football you can't just make the move, like me, I'm a winger. Can just go in the space and not making an option.
Yeah.
So the coach was always giving me an option, telling me what exactly I need to do, so that the next time I will do it more better. And it helped me a lot, because in the game, you memorize it and you remember what you did in training and you do it in the game.
One thing I really like is they don't just bring in kind of any coaches to come and take the camp. They really go above and beyond and find top level UEFA Pro coaches to come in and coach, and you immediately feel that professional environment when you step into training. You know that you're going to come away from the 3 weeks a better player than you were coming in. Even just from that short space of time, it gives them enough time to give you maybe 1 or 2 little nuggets of knowledge that immediately you feel the impact when you then carry on playing afterwards. I remember in the camp there, I think it was the camp that we did 3 years ago, the coach at the time gave me this one little bit of information about playing as a third centre-back on the wide. And I remember it just stuck with me after that and really kind of helped me transition into playing in a back 3. Having only played in a back 3
You had
before.
another option as well of you playing.
Exactly. So the camp itself, I think, also benefits us socially. I think Maltese football can sometimes be a little bit disconnected in the players not really knowing each other outside of your team, especially for the foreign players.
Exactly.
For the Maltese players, you grow up together kind of in the schools and know each other from individual towns and feasts.
Like you said, for us Maltese players, it's more, easy to get into a team, because this friend, this guy, and you can get contacts. For foreign people, it's a little bit more difficult because you know less people.
Exactly.
And you need these training sessions we had, this Malta Football Association, Players Association, it helps you to gain experience, and it helps you to reach out to clubs.
The networking opportunity that it presents, obviously being around 24 other players all in the similar position to you, everyone starts to, throughout the camp, join together and learn about each other, make friends, and then you do have people that you can kind of rely on to vouch for you. If they do get signed, they might be the one that then turns around and says to their club, hey, you should check this guy out. He's a good player. I just spent 3 weeks with him, he'll help the team. And before you know it, you're now getting invited to train with another team just because you've had that opportunity to make friends. And
some coaches just message me and tell me, listen, this player was with you, training with you, can you give me some opinions, some options? And obviously, that's the way that you can be reached out.
Exactly. So that networking opportunity that it presents is also a massive benefit, and especially for the foreign players who maybe don't have friends on the island, that can help them like that. It does allow them to meet people, and even me, like running the five-a-side league that I've been doing over the past few weeks. Camp was a great opportunity for me to pick some players out of camp and invite them down and give them a chance to come and join in with the YouTube series that I'm running. But that was also a good benefit. And then also just being in and around the MFPA, they do wonders for the players over here. They've really gone to bat for a lot of the players and helped them through some really tough times. So the MFPA are a massive help to the professional players on the island, and being around them and getting to know them and starting to network with them and themselves gives those players that extra layer of protection when they're going into contractual negotiations, when they're needing to sort out other kind of fees or legal matters outside of football. The MFPA have also been a massive help for them. And finally, just they present opportunities for them in terms of language classes. They've been offering all these new courses outside of football or linked to football, not necessarily as a player. Yes, but with
coaching courses as well, they offer everything. The Malta Football Players Association, you know, like you said, it helps the player to come forward, you know, like things that are yours. Like you said, the contract. So we had this story now from Romero Ramo, you know, they stopped his contract, and it's illegal of doing this thing, you know. And the player, you know, he has a family, he lives in Malta, and he has a child as well too. And he obviously wants to eat at the end of the day, like I do. So if he has a contract, he needs to, you know, look up to it. And if the team doesn't, you know, want him, but
we won't talk too much about that issue, as we do have Ramal coming back onto the podcast to talk about his story. But yes, issues like that do arise in Malta. Would you say commonly?
Not commonly,
but enough for it to be a pattern.
Yes,
I'd
but
say.
For some players not to be paid, you know, it's commonly.
Yeah.
But you need to understand the club, you know, if it's going through a tough time, you know. You need to understand the club that it's not a good time to get paid. Okay, no worries. But for a Maltese player, it's kind of okay, because we players.
It's more semi-professional for Maltese
yes, exactly.
players.
Because I personally work morning job because I haven't got a professional contract until now. But I work in the morning, and obviously I get paid, you know, at the end of the month.
And you know you've got a reliable income.
Exactly.
The money from football is more of just bonus money that you can kind of
I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push, obviously, because I've been these 2 years out because I had 2 ACLs, as you know, and as you know, I watched you in 2019, you know. During the camp I couldn't train, but I was watching you. But yeah, like you said, foreign players, it's a bit more difficult, you know, to get paid, because he obviously wants to live, he wants to pay the rent of the flat, he wants to eat. So it's more difficult.
It does add that extra layer of protection for the foreign players when they are doing their contract negotiations. And yeah, the MFPA have done a lot for the players over here. In terms of the camp, we had 2 games this year lined up against the teams that are competing in the Conference League, and Hamrun was Conference as well? Or?
Yes, as well.
So both teams are in the Europa Conference League. The issue with Malta, with the European competitions, is those teams obviously start pre-season early. However, because there is only a limited number of teams starting at that time, there's only so many pre-season friendlies they can play against themselves to prepare. So having an opportunity to get an extra game in against the MFPA camp allows them to have an extra layer of preparation for the game, and 2, it allows them to play against a wide selection of foreign players that they might not otherwise find at one of the local clubs who also have to fill their Maltese quota of players. So the level of competition is usually quite competitive in these games. This year we played against Zira and Hamrun. The first game was against Zira. Both of us played in the first half. Controlling that right wing, I'd say. We had a good little combination going down on the right.
Exactly.
And the game went 5-1 in the end, I believe, to Zira. Game itself, I think maybe got a little bit out of our control at times.
Yes, exactly. Like you said, you know, it was our first friendly. It was our first game together.
Always going to be mistakes and
Exactly.
chemistry issues as people are feeling each other out on the pitch.
We didn't knew each other, Like when you play with a player, you know his characteristics, you know what the player does,
Exactly.
how he runs,
Yeah.
how he plays. So that was a little bit of setback for us. But I think in the first half we came 3-0, but we were compact enough.
3-1. We got the penalty at the end of the half.
3-1.
Miguel scored
Miguel
the
Alba
penalty.
scored the last penalty and then he whistled, yes. And that was the change, because we play 11 players first half, and second half they play another 11 players because they need to get experience.
Exactly.
They need to play, obviously.
Everyone needs their time on the field to
Exactly.
be on show for the coaches. So
Exactly.
that change, again, it doesn't even allow you to really get the full 90 to settle into the game. You kind of have 45 minutes to
Yes.
leave it all on the
Yes.
field and do the best you can.
Players like us, we want the 90 minutes. We want to
Exactly.
play the whole 90 minutes, not just to show the other team. It's for us,
Exactly.
for us.
No one likes being substituted, I think.
Exactly.
But the second half happened. I think they ended up 2-0 at the end of the second half. Both teams did a lot of rotation during that game.
Exactly. Xira had a lot of youngsters coming up. They just signed four youngsters. They are very, very good. And, obviously, with the youngsters, the level, it was kind of different because the style they play, and they even play with the national team.
Yeah.
So it's another level, and they have the foreigners. They're very, very good.
Yeah.
They're very good. It's another level, And we compare, how fast the game was. Obviously, by our side, it wasn't that fast because we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
But Xira, obviously they were preparing for
At times,
the
that
game.
ball just popped around the field, and you
Yes,
could
yes,
see
yes.
the midfield really struggling to get near the ball.
Exactly. We just stood there for 10 minutes watching them play the ball and trying to come at us because at times we were trying to defend, not to get another goal. But it was a nice experience for us to learn.
I think that's it. I think when you're on these showcase camps and you know that you've only been, at that point, we'd been training for a week and a half maybe.
We trained, yes, for
It's
3, 4, 5. We trained only 5 sessions to get football sessions.
Exactly.
We trained 5 football sessions because the others were physical sessions.
So at that point, you're not really expecting to go against a team as established as Zero and pick up a positive result.
Yeah.
So I don't think at any point the result was negative for us. I think you just take the positives from the game, and I think in showcase games especially, coaches aren't really too bothered about results.
No.
They're more interested in individual performances and signs of players linking up well together and maybe seeing potential for how that individual player can slot into their setup.
Exactly. I always say, we always learn. Last year I was with Zabar and we played against Zira in the FA Trophy. We came 4-0 and, we just learned. The first half we were coming and then obviously because we wasted our energy on the first half, and the second half it was really difficult for us to stay with them, because the level is different. But like I said, we always learn from these games, from these things, and you try to take points and see where you can improve and take an advice from the coaches.
Exactly.
And obviously, my dad is a coach, so I can say, listen, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Break that down for you,
Yeah,
give
exactly,
you that extra
exactly.
layer of analysis.
After every game, I say, listen, not what I did good, what I did wrong. Where can I improve? That's
the
that's
key
how
to
I
being
learn.
a footballer, really, isn't it?
Exactly,
Improving, not being happy with your performance, but
top players say that they want to learn more and they want to improve more. So
after the Zero game, the following week, the MFPA also had scheduled a game against Hamrun Spartans in the Premier League. Like we said again, challenging in the European Conference League, again, helping them prepare for that game. I unfortunately wasn't able to play this game. I had a holiday pre-booked and the dates clashed by about 12 hours, I think. So I had to miss out on that game.
Exactly.
Little bit of a sucker punch. Wanted to play that game. Felt like I'd had a good performance at Zira.
Yes.
Another good performance may have left me in a better position going forward with coaches to negotiate.
Exactly. Yes.
Gianluca obviously was at the game. Give us a breakdown of how the game went. Fill me in as well. How did the game go?
The second game was, I think, more better because we knew each other well. We obviously knew that we were going to face Cameroon. Cameroon.
A big club over here, guys.
Exactly.
Probably the wealthiest of the Premier League
clubs.
Exactly,
yes. These last 3 years, Cameroon, they made a rebound, from playing first division football to Premier, and they aimed for winning the league. And
a bit of a giant now over here.
Yes.
A lot of financial muscle behind the team, yes. A large budget to work with, attracting very, very high level players. Most recently, they had players caliber of Doumbia playing for them.
Yeah, Franklin Sacera, he used to play in Serie B in Italy. Gambin, he's a national team player. He used to play in England
at a decent level.
So
they do attract high level players at that club, and I think everyone knew going into the game it was going to be again competition wise a bit higher than maybe our level, but I think everyone was hungry for the challenge.
Yes, I think, like you said, this game was different because everyone this time was focused. You could see each other even at the warming up. You could see that we won this game. Yeah, we won this game, and the first half was 2-1. We ended 2-1, and then the second half we switched. 11 players went out, and 11 players came in, and we came 3-0. And I think this game was a little bit better because how we faced the game was a little bit better, and the training that we had the past days
really prepared for that game specifically.
It prepared us well, because we're preparing to stay low and to defend more.
I think one of the things that we noticed from the 0 game was there wasn't really any focus on match preparation, was there?
No, because it was our
first game together.
First game, really second week together.
Much,
exactly. It was a little bit difficult for us, but the coach's idea from the first game to the second game was different.
Completely changed.
Yes, because at the first game they wanted us to attack,
try and play.
Exactly. But then obviously we knew what the level that we had at the moment. And they prepared us for the second game. I think they prepared us more well, and even we trained more well, to face this team like Cameroon.
I think again it's a testament to the level of the coaching, especially just to how they can kind of make that quick adjustment on the fly. They noticed the result, how things went in the first game. Now they've got 3 sessions to try and correct those issues and set up better for the next game. And like you said, the game went better, the players were hungrier to play. I think the players kind of had a bit of a reality check from the first game.
Yes.
Maybe we're playing a little bit too confident, a little bit lackadaisical, too relaxed in the first game, and now realised, oh shit, I've got to step up now and really play a bit harder in the next game.
Myself played in the Premier League of Malta with Birkirkara. I was only 18 years old. I remember the level. You need to play the ball fast. You can't be slow. You need to take a decision before you receive the ball. So when the ball is coming, you need to know that you're passing there or you're going there.
Exactly.
So it's a different level. You can reach that level, but you need to take it step by step.
I think I had my welcoming into Maltese football was against Baltsan, and who was their winger? It was a Montenegrin winger. I think it was Bojan Kaljevic or something.
Bojan Kaljevic, the 88, yes. He's a strong boy, tall boy.
Oh my God. I was playing centre-back against him, and in 5 minutes he'd sat me down 3 times. that was my welcome into Maltese football, was okay, shit, I've actually got to play quick here. I've got to play so much faster on the ball, because like you said, at that elite level, the pressure, unless you know what you're going to do with the ball before you get it, you're in trouble.
It's a different kind of level, and like I said, yes, you need to play more fast. But obviously, the players that you play with, they can up your game.
Exactly.
Because I used to play with a very good players, like Mizla, There's Marcelinho, Thiago Brito, even the keeper was experienced enough. He was the national team of they won against Italy and they knocked them out in the World Cup qualifiers.
Okay.
Yeah, Kiko Naumovsky is a very, very good player, second keeper of his national team.
Mm-hmm.
Lithuania, I think.
Lithuania?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. But, there were very, very experienced players that they helped me up my game. And obviously in some situations, coming up from the nursery of Birkirkara, playing in the minors, and going up with the seniors, at first training, the players used to laugh at you because, you're the shortest guy there, the new kid, and you're the youngest player of them all. Yeah. So they can bully you. But it helped me a lot because
it toughens you up, makes you realise, okay, I've got to really transition into men's football.
Exactly, and when they nutmeg you, it's you don't want to go to train the next day because they're going to try and do it again.
Exactly.
But it helped me a lot, besides. It helped me a lot. I gained a lot of experience with Birkirkara playing in the Premier League and obviously with the players that we had there at the moment.
It's an interesting point that you made about how your performance individually can level up depending on the players around you. It's actually something that I wanted to bring up in comparison because if you didn't know, although I've done the MFPA camp this year, I was also on the MFPA camp 3 years ago, which is when it previously ran. Usually they do go every year, but because of COVID it had to be put on hiatus for 2 or 3 years while they waited for regulations and restrictions to ease and make it possible for them to put it on again. So Gianluca also had experience from that camp in a little bit of a different capacity to me, although he wasn't playing on the camp due to the ACL injuries that he mentioned earlier. His dad actually was the coach in charge of the camp itself. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who your dad is?
Yeah. Some people obviously may know because they know me. My dad is a local coach. He has the top license of the coaching. His name is Stefan Radanovanich. He now coaches Lima in the Challenge League. He won big titles with Birkirkara, Valletta.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He is the most winningest coach of all time in Malta.
Yes.
That is the title given for the most. Is it most accumulated points or most accumulated wins? I think it's points.
Points.
So he has recorded the most amount of points as a coach in the entire of Maltese history in football. So Paul Zammit is a bit of a legend in Maltese football, you would say, right?
Yes, exactly. Many players look up to him. Many players, they send him a private message, for his help.
Yeah.
For me, because not only my dad, but for me, he is the best coach, Maltese coach that you can ever have. I trained with him. You trained with him as well.
Exactly. I was going to say, in the 3 weeks that I had with him alone, you could just see the level of attention to detail he had, the knowledge in every scenario that you would ever find yourself in, just an absolute wealth of knowledge in football.
Exactly, it's different. And there are, he helps every player that comes for him to tell him, listen, I have this problem. He even, reborns players that, these past years, they weren't going so well with football, but obviously, with his help, they change up their game and obviously they go to another level.
Excel to another level, yeah. He really brought the best out of the players during that 3 weeks.
Yes.
And you could tell just from being around the more experienced players in the camp just how much respect they had for him.
Yes, many players know him. He helped a lot of players. Like they were going to stop football, but obviously with his help, they
reignited that passion for football.
Exactly.
and found that their game had raised to that next level to keep them going and push them on to higher and better things. So the camp 3 years ago in 2019, similar structure to how it ran this year, the only difference being the physical sessions that were introduced this year. So the physical sessions were held with Valdo, He's a player in the Challenge League currently.
He was with Marsa, yes.
I believe he was with Marsa last season. Very good player.
Yes.
Talented history. Also a wealth of knowledge when it comes to physical training and sport-specific physical training, I would say. That was what I liked most about the sessions. They weren't just your typical gym sessions or circuit training. He really applied it to football, had a lot of plyometric sessions and explosive power, working on efficiency of movement as opposed to just giving you a six-pack.
Exactly, he gained a lot of experience because because I go one-to-one with him at Fort Fitness.
Yeah.
Because obviously I couldn't come to the sessions in the morning.
I did see you on Instagram putting on the sessions with him as well.
Yes,
it was cool to see that he does offer these services for players individually as well.
Exactly, he focuses on football strength and conditioning of players. So for me, it was helping me a lot, to up my game, because I obviously told him, this season I want to be more, little bit, built, so I couldn't go off the ball. I want to be more faster. Yeah. Exactly. So Valdo helped me a lot this summer, and obviously I used to play with him with Leah in the Premier League in 2020, 2021. I only played till January, but with those 5 months that I spent with him, he's a very good player, talented player.
Yeah.
He helps the player as well, because there were some times, that I could have just, played or went in. But obviously Valdo gives that motivation, to the player to keep on going, because he knew what level I had. And despite the injuries I had, but obviously by step we'll reach there.
It's important to have those characters on the team, even just involved in the program itself this year. Valdo was a very positive influence to the players that were taking part in his sessions, always laughing, always joking around. Whereas the sessions with the coaches were a bit more serious, where players couldn't really have that time to laugh and joke, and the smaller, more intimate sessions that we had with Valdo, the vibes were good. It was good vibes.
Exactly. Yes.
Can't complain.
Yes.
It was fun to go to. The players kept coming back, and we benefited from it at the end of the day, which is the main goal. So that was the main difference. 3 years ago, we only had 3 sessions during the week, on the Monday, the Wednesday and the Friday. We also had 4 games scheduled that year. So that year we had games against Balzan, we had a game against Hibernians, Valletta, and then finally it was Zero, right?
Zero, yes.
So the camp last time, 3 years ago, I feel like there might be a reason behind why the results were a bit more successful that time round compared to how the results went this year. So obviously this year, that we lost 5-1 in both games, and the level of competition itself felt a little bit too high maybe for the players in the camp. When you look back at the roster list that we had at the camp 3 years ago, I think the calibre of players that were out of contract that year that formed the team,
it was a different level.
It was a different level, wasn't it?
There were many players from the Premier League
a lot of players
that were out of contract, and obviously that helps, to gain the experience between them all.
Exactly.
The level of the play was, I think, better, obviously, because like you said, the players of the Premier League were out of contract.
And I think even for players like myself who maybe hadn't had that Premier League experience, even being around that many strong, experienced characters, it helped you raise your level at the same time.
Exactly.
Maybe you had, I know myself during the camp, I made a couple mistakes in my first few games, but when you've got Premier League players with over 100 appearances in the Premier League behind you,
exactly,
they can cover those mistakes, they can sweep up and really kind of coach you almost on the pitch through the game. And the results in the first camp in 2019, I think in the first game against Balzan it was 5-2 in the end.
5-2.
We lost, and that again, first game together. The players were learning how to play together. Defensively, maybe we didn't have the time to organise ourselves in training as much.
You played at Santa Lucia's ground, right? And then against Valletta?
The next game was against Hibs, I think.
Hibs at Cordine, yes.
And that game ended up 3-2. Was it 3-2?
3-2, yes.
3-2 to us. We ended up beating Hibernians. Very positive result. I think, if I remember, it was either Saturday or Abu scoring an absolute worldie volley from like 35 yards out. Incredible goal.
Yes, the keeper couldn't believe it.
No chance. But again, like we said, when you've got that calibre of player that can pull out those special moments in the game, anything's possible, right?
Exactly, anything's possible.
Then we had the game against Valletta. Again, another positive result. It was it
3-2 as well.
3-2 as well.
Yes, we played at Dingley Ground.
Dingley Ground. Really nice ground, actually.
Yeah.
I like that ground. Yeah. And Cordine. Cordine's also a very nice pitch.
Exactly. They are big, both big and
big pitches,
wide.
give you time and space to play. The surface itself is nice to play on.
Exactly, yes.
Occasionally in Malta, some of the pitches are a little bit lacking in quality.
Yes, because of the the sun in Malta, that's exaggerating, really and
heats up the pitch.
Yes,
that was one of the things actually about that 0 game that we had this year. Oh my God, the heat.
Yes, that's why we lagged as well, because we played at 5 in the afternoon.
5 in the afternoon, and guys,
and the sun was.
What was it? It must have been at least 35 degrees.
Yes, it was 35 or 36.
Incredible heat. 5 minutes in, I could barely breathe. My mouth was so dry. And I remember running up and down that wing, just thinking to myself, I'm going to pass out at any moment right now. I'm so dry.
Well, I luckily started on the left flank, so it was easy for me, to take a sip of.
I was begging Melvin. I was screaming at him throughout the game. Melvin, please tell someone to bring a water bottle on this side. Luckily, they gave us water breaks, and I snuck a bottle onto
after
the other side.
15 minutes, we had a break. So,
but the final game we played in 2019 was against Zira, and again I missed that game. I was travelling, but I believe the result was 1-1.
1-1, yes. You drew. Yes.
Another positive result. Just to give you a bit of context for what sort of players were around in each camp, I'm going to just name off a few players that we had during the camp with us and give you an idea of the level of players that were actually there. So in goal we had Julian Azapardi in 2019, a very experienced goalkeeper in Malta,
yes.
As well as Nikki Vella, who also was there this year.
Yes.
Again, great goalkeeper, both very experienced. Nikki
has had a wonderful career
here, yeah.
He's a very experienced keeper.
In terms of defenders, some of the marquee names from 2019, we had Stefan Radanovanich.
He just was with me with Zabar.
Again, fantastic player.
Exactly. His left foot is unbelievable.
Very, very, very good Premier League player. This year was an absolute steal for Zabar to sign last season for the Amateur League.
Exactly.
Some of the calibre of players that Zabar brought in to as part of their project. I know a lot of the other Amateur League teams were in awe when they saw this team lineup of Premier League players in front of them.
Exactly.
Romero Ramo, who was just on the podcast with me yesterday, which will be out next episode. Again, you'll hear about his career, but very talented Premier League player. Marcelo Diaz, who played against us this year. He is a fantastic player here in Malta. Again, very, very historic career.
He's, I think, 36 years old and is still fast like a flash.
You would look at him and think he's 25 years old.
Oh, exactly.
Ridiculous. Some of the Maltese players that took part, who I think are well-established Maltese players, you had people like Mead Mifsud, Joswell Spittieri, Neil Pace-Cox,
Abu, yes, he played as well.
Played 3 years ago as well. Played this year. This year, I think he's slowed down just a little bit.
Obviously, the age,
age
time
is going to
passes.
play.
Yes, obviously, is going to play a
factor.
part. Exactly.
No longer really a striker anymore.
He's just playing behind the striker
as
obviously
either,
you need to change your game.
Exactly. As he's slowed down further forward up the pitch, he's drifted back in and using just his experience now and composure to get him through. Tayshan Hayden-Smith, who I, funnily enough, brought over to the camp 3 years ago from Rising Ballers. Fantastic player. The English Neymar that he's called in England, but I brought him over from London and got him involved. He was a good addition to the team, actually. Very
he helped you a lot.
Yeah. Then we had Marco Morgan, Brazilian player, very good, really experienced. His movement up front, wicked. Played in Malta for a few seasons. I believe I can't remember where he's moved to now, maybe to the Canadian Premier League or somewhere like that.
Yes, I think so. Yes, he plays in the high level now.
Very high level. There was mention that he might be returning to Malta this summer.
Yes, there was a post
on replay. Don't know if that's going to materialise. I think he's keeping his options open, but again, fantastic player. Again, 2 Maltese players that I think are promising young talents that were involved in and around the national team. Jan Tanti. I like to call him the Maltese Shaqiri. Wicked player. Very good player. And Aidan, is it Frigeri?
Aidan Frigeri, yes.
Good player as well. He's in and around the national team as the youth setter.
Yes, and now he just signed with Bolton, so it's...
Still Premier League player. Again, just gives you an idea of the calibre of players that were around. Saturday Nana Pere, amazing player, very well known in Maltese football as well as Gozo football. And Emmanuel Mbong, who is his nephew, who again is part of a bit of a historic family here in Malta for football.
Exactly, the 3 Mbongs.
Exactly, very good player, exciting. You've seen him on the fives. Lit up the first game. I think he scored 6 goals in the first 5s game we played. Great player. So that was some of the players that were involved in 3 years ago. I'll go through a few of the players that were involved this year in the camp. I think it's a nice touch for some of the players that took part, just to give them a bit of a spotlight, shine a light on them.
Exactly. This year it was a little bit different, because there were less Maltese players and there were more foreign players out of contract this year. So there was a little bit of difference because, like you mentioned, there were a lot of Maltese players without contract back in 2019. So it was a little bit of different, This time it was, I think, better because with the experience we could get, for me, a Maltese player, to get the experience from the foreign players was... From Miguel Alba, Gonzalo Virano.
Exactly. So this year, some of the out-of-contract players that we had on the camp, Melvin Akinboye, good friend of mine. Everyone on the channel knows who he is. Young, promising striker, massive unit, real problem up front. Very, he's like a bus, a double-decker bus is the best way to...
They used to call him Lukaku.
Exactly. Miguel Alba, very experienced player. Played at the highest level here in Malta as well as across his career in other countries. Very good player. Jean-Pierre Attard, Maltese player, captain of Melita, I believe, last season. Very experienced in amateur and Challenge League football. Ayrton Azzopardi.
Good left foot.
Great player. Injuries have set him back from probably hitting the heights that he was anticipated to hit. But still, bags of quality when he is fit. Amazing player. This summer, no injuries, looked great.
Exactly. He just signed with Goudia, so...
Back in the Premier League.
Good player.
Great player. Expecting some exciting things from him this year. Like we mentioned before, Abu, back this year in a more defensive role, playing in midfield. Lots of experience. Perfect player to command the team, give them that kind of anchor and help them play under pressure. He's very good under pressure. Good, yes. We had Daniel Cayman, a young player from England who, like me, is half Maltese. Coming over 17 years old. Can you believe it?
He was the youngest player there.
Was all, yes. Hadn't had any experience in Maltese football before. I think he was coming over on a break from education just to kind of get a feel for what Maltese football's like, start to network a little bit in the professional game. Bright future ahead of him, I think.
If
he can get his paperwork sorted for Maltese citizenship,
it's a good sign for a good team.
I think he would sign for a very good team and be given a real chance to develop. I know that he had a training session with Mostar,
yes,
and is going to remain in touch with them over the next year. So expecting to see him back in Maltese football for sure in the next 2 years. Very talented player. Ryan Chen, exciting player, also half Maltese.
Half Maltese, yes.
I think he's got Maltese citizenship as well. I think he's got quite an interesting mix actually. I think he's half Maltese, half from Hong Kong, and
yes,
also from England.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 passports. Very talented player. He played in the Cameroon game, right?
Yes, he played in the Cameroon game. It was, he's very good. He's, about that he's short. He's very good with the ball.
Strong player,
yes,
technical,
exactly.
very composed. Danny Claridge, again another regular on the channel, the angriest man in football. Very talented player. A bit of a veteran in amateur league football.
Exactly, he just signed with
Kirkop. Yeah, so the camp again doing good job for a lot of these players. You can see out of the players that we've already mentioned, many of them have signed and moved on. We had Victor, classic Victor. He was there last time as well.
Yes.
Victor is a strong, powerful centre back. Good player.
He was with Luta last year.
Was a pivotal player for them.
He played all the games with Luta.
Tried to help them stay up.
Exactly, it was a little bit difficult for them,
season,
but obviously.
But again, talented player. I'm expecting him to be snapped up very shortly. He's usually a stalwart in Maltese football, hopping between the teams, helping teams.
Exactly.
In the Challenge League, we had Siobhan Mclaren. He was previously...
With Leah, with me as well.
With Leah?
He was with me in 2020. Yes, with Leah. He's a fantastic player. He's a baller.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about his play style.
He plays on the right wing. I remember him. He was very, very fast, but obviously at the moment he stayed 1 year out, so it was a little bit difficult for him. But obviously he came back. He has some friends, like Marlon Reed. He plays with Floriana, and they train together. And obviously he's back in shape, back in the action, trying to find the team.
I think that was it. You could see when the camp started that he had been out of football for a little while. Exactly. As the camp went on, fitness levels raising. I think if he continues to push on, you'll see him reach the levels of ability that he has and probably get signed up.
Yeah.
Good player, great option on the wing. Emmanuel Nanapere did a few sessions with us, didn't actually play a game. Oh no, he did. He played the 0 game.
He played the 0 game, yes, and then he left.
I believe he went to Italy and has signed with a club in Italy. Sean Briffa, yes. He is actually the social media manager and a bit of a tech man for the MFPA. Good player.
Yeah, he's a very, very, very good left back. He could push more for football, but obviously with work,
I think so, yeah. He's very committed to the technical side of the MFPA, helps them out a lot with content. Someone I've been working closely with for the past few weeks, coming up with ideas on how we can kind of help each other out, set up some opportunities for collaboration in the future between the Unprofessional Footballer and the MFPA. So exciting things ahead there. We had Marlon Reed, who is the brother of Cayman.
Reed.
Again, good player, very direct, gets the ball, drives at the man.
Exactly, and as well, he has been 1 year out because no one obviously took him, and that's a setback for him and obviously Mclaren, because they are both good players.
Very
and,
good players.
They can push even more harder, to reach their aims.
Romero Ramo, again back on the camp, looking for a club. He's got many options this year. I think he's just finding the one that suits him best now. He's 32 years old now, so he's coming to the later stages of career. Now it's more about making the right decision for him.
Exactly.
Like we said, he had complications last year, so I think he just wants a reliable team this year that he knows is going to treat him well.
They will treat him well for sure, because
as he deserves. Then we had Nikki Vella, goalkeeper back again. Has he signed for anyone this year?
Yeah, he signed for Marsan the first week of the program.
Okay.
Yeah, and he just came there, to
Carried
help
on,
us.
helping
yes,
us,
and he
bit
carried
more
on
fitness training.
Yes, exactly.
Great player, again, like we've said.
Very experienced player.
Very experienced in the Maltese game, has accomplished a lot here, and will be a very good addition to their team. Yeah.
To Marsan.
Finishing off, we had Gonzalo Verano. Again, great player, very experienced, composed, bit naughty on the ball. I liked watching him against Zira.
Yes, exactly.
Not afraid to leave a little challenge in. Definitely a disruptor in the midfield.
Everyone knows Verano around the Maltese football. I played as well with him in Lia. He's a destroyer. You don't want to get the ball and take along with the ball.
In every sense, destroyer. Very, very good player. And then finishing off in alphabetical order, obviously we've got yourself, Gianluca Zammit. Good player. Talented on the wing, fast, driven, direct, gets the ball, knows how to get to goal. Also play up front.
Yes, as well.
You were Zabar's top scorer last season, right?
I came second top scorer.
Second.
Yeah. Last year, obviously coming back from those 2 years that I was paused, sidelined on the pitch, it helped me a lot. I gained a lot of experience, with Zabar. Obviously, there were some experienced players playing with Zabar, and it helped me a lot. And I obviously now keep on moving my qualities and what I've learned now with San Juan.
Yeah, so Gianluca signed with San Juan, like we mentioned earlier. I think it's going to be a great move for them. Pushes you back up into the Challenge League.
Yes, exactly. My aim obviously is to play in the Premier League, but as well as to help my current team, San Juan, because I used to play with them when I was a little child.
Yeah.
And I had a loan spell from Birkirkara to San Juan, and there was where I had my first injury with them, which I was gutted, because I was helping the team. Fighting for relegation, and obviously by the end of the season they got relegated, which I was gutted, not to help them, but obviously now they're back in the
Chance
Challenge
for redemption this year.
Yes.
Maybe you can help them push into the Premier League.
For sure, we'll try to do it.
I think you guys will definitely be up towards the top of the table. I know San Juan have a great youth programme, and also
exactly, they have
their
a lot
first team benefits from it massively, having such a wide selection of young talented players.
They have a lot of young talented players that plays for the national team, under 17, under 19, and now 21s. They're very good.
So to finish off the podcast, I think we're going to come to an end shortly. Let's talk about some ideas for maybe how we think the camp could have been improved, maybe something that they can take on board for the following year. I know one thing that's been mentioned by a few of the players and even the camp themselves is maybe lining up friendlies against some varied competition, maybe not trying to just play against the European teams straight away. I know they're considering next year doing an inter-squad friendly.
Exactly, yes. But the problem was, because we start the
so
program
much earlier.
Exactly, so there are teams in Challenge League and Amateur League, they start now in the beginning of July. So it's a little bit of difficult to find teams to play
against, which has always been the issue that they've faced in the past about trying to set up maybe more evenly matched games, or just even when you've got those Premier League level players at your disposal, it also gives a chance to the players who are maybe a bit younger to have a game that's more inclusive for them, where they're going to really have a chance to play at a level that's more realistic to their current level. And I think that would benefit players overall. But like we mentioned, scheduling conflicts is always going to be a challenge when you're trying to set up with teams that haven't started pre-season yet.
Exactly, because at that time only European that are going to play in the European Challenge.
I did mention to Sean that there are some teams available that are being set up recently, like the Pro Evolution Academy, which is a French team, which of prospective French academy players that are being brought over to Malta to try and get signed over here. And again, that does offer an option, maybe a little bit less of a level than you'd expect, but again gives a chance for players to really kind of show what they're like in a more dominant game, where they can be more controlling of the ball, because when you're playing against these Premier League teams going into Europe, you're not going to see much of the ball.
Exactly, it's difficult to get the ball, but obviously you need to to adapt to the game. If you want to defend, you just defend well.
One of the other options I think that could help the camp is maybe a little bit more live coverage during the camp, maybe player spotlights, shining a bit of a light on the players that are out of contract looking for a team, and maybe their social medias would be a great platform for them to show off stats, previous clubs, maybe highlights of players playing from last season, just putting more out there for coaches to see than just the games.
Yes. And obviously to post, player, because they posted a lot of players, there were a lot to read, and obviously to get more attention, the MFPA, they publish this player at this day.
Exactly.
Every day they publish a different player.
The camp runs for 3 weeks, that's 21 days. There's 24 players on the camp. They could time it pretty nicely.
Exactly.
A player a day, a little bit of a spotlight on them, give them a bit of attention, let the clubs know who that player is, who to look out for when they're going to the games.
Where he played in the past.
Exactly. Stuff like that would go a long way, I think, for the players, make them feel like they're really getting as much opportunity as possible to be seen. I know, having missed that final game against Cameroon this year, I would massively have benefited from some sort of highlight reel being shown of the past, or something where coaches can just see a little bit more of me. I know that last season I didn't play that much, so my stock isn't very high at the moment, so showing stuff from the past might be a way to kind of level it out for me.
Exactly. But coaches know you've been with 3 good teams, that you've been with Malta, yes? 3 good teams.
Yeah,
I've been with 3 teams.
3 teams here in Malta,
yes,
in and around.
Vgura and
Tarshin at the beginning, I spent a bit of time with.
Yes, you did pre-season
with them, and then Gargor this season.
So, like I said, teams know you, they know what you do, they know what you're capable of, Now it's time to put you there and try to watch what you can do.
Any other options you think? Maybe any ideas that could help them?
Maybe we could have trained 5 times a week, not 3 times a week, because it would have helped us more to be ready for the games. And obviously, the coaches could have planned the sessions, sessions of aerobics, sessions of power, sessions with the ball. There could have been, a lot more sessions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That could have helped us more.
I know something that's also been discussed financially. It would be probably a big cost to do this, but duration of the camp. I know some people have mentioned before that the length of the camp could be increased and maybe run all the way through till the end of pre-season, where players are actually needing to be signed by. So maybe giving them, even if the sessions got reduced maybe once a week at that point after the full intensive camp, give them a chance to get together once a week, stay fit, give them a little bit of training together, and again, more friendlies can never hurt.
Exactly. This year I think it was the shortest camp.
Shortest, I think,
because we only
2 matches.
Yeah, 2 matches, 2 matches, 3 weeks. The past sessions that you had was 4 weeks, 1 month.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it was a good time span. But if they open up the span of these training sessions, of this program, it could help the players, that they will not stop.
Exactly.
Because some players, they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
Obviously, they stay fit for themselves, but with the ball, if you're a footballer, you need to play with the ball.
You need that team training session to be training at match pace. Dribbling through cones on your own can only prepare you so much.
Exactly, but it's different if you play against a player.
Exactly.
It's different, but yes, like you said, if you dribble with the cone, I go myself, like when I have a free time, I do my things, in the pitch. It helps me a lot, me personally. But yes, like you said, it's different when you train alone and with the team.
And when you talk about the duration of the camp, had it have, let's say, gone on for another 2 weeks, like you said, teams are starting to do pre-season now. Maybe there's an opportunity to start arranging friendlies against some of these challenge and amateur league teams.
There are teams, obviously, they're seeking for friendlies at this time.
Yeah.
Because now it's been 2 weeks past July, and teams started at the beginning of the July. So I think it's if the program was 9 weeks or 8 weeks. I think
Definitely, you could arrange a lot
that's
of
the
games in
perfect
between.
time
Yeah.
for a player and for a coach as well.
The only issues that might come into play during that is, are they able to get the coach's time for 8 weeks? Maybe like we've seen with Pisanu. He's now moved on to, is it Hibernians?
Yes.
So when a deal like that is arranged, obviously he wouldn't be able to commit that level of time to the program anymore.
But there was another coach
Yeah.
that could have helped us. But as well, he just signed for a recent club, so it was a little bit of difficult for us.
So I think, again, as players get signed as well, you would have a lot of players dropping out of the program. I think here in Malta, there's usually a large selection of players to choose from, though. Like we saw at the start of camp, there was a lot of players in and out throughout the sessions, new faces popping up every
exactly,
week.
because they start the training sessions and obviously they get contacts and they want to make this move, and obviously someone replaces that player, which is, I think, very reasonable.
So as long as the camp during that, let's say, 8-week duration has enough players to keep it going, then I don't see any reason why it couldn't carry on and carry on playing games against lesser teams maybe, and giving the players who haven't been signed yet another push to try and find a club.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if the camp, if it starts mid-June and finishes mid-July,
I think a good level.
Yeah.
4 weeks, 5
4
maybe.
weeks. And there will be, options for teams, to be scouted.
Exactly. Let's face it. Clubs always will sign players early on, get towards the end of pre-season and start to think, actually, the players that we've recruited aren't the level we need to compete with the rest of the teams that we've played in pre-season. We might need to bring in a few extra faces, and like you've mentioned before at training, it's one of the busiest days in Malta is that last week of pre-season when all the clubs are starting to realise, shit, we need a few more players.
Exactly.
And now everyone's phones are blowing up to see who they can actually bring in last minute.
Yes.
Jan, it's been a pleasure having you on. I
Yeah,
think we can wrap up the podcast there. We've just hit the hour mark, or just under, depending on how I edit it. We might lose a few minutes in the post-edit, but it's been great having you on.
Yeah, thanks.
Pleasure having you here.
Yeah, me too.
Guys, if you'd like to see more from the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast, subscribe to the channel. If you've enjoyed the episode, leave a like, comment, and tell me who you'd like to see back on. Jan, I think I might have you back on. We'll go through your journey as a player.
Yes.
I think
it
would be a very interesting podcast, having someone with such a wealth of experience as a strong influence in your life growing up. I'd love to hear about how it was having Paul as your dad growing up as a coach, how kind of that impacted your development. I know both you and your younger brother are players.
Yes.
So hearing kind of that perspective of what it's like to be a player local here in Malta growing up, and then also having a father as a coach, I think you're going to offer some very interesting insight into what it's like to be in that situation. So we'll get you back on the podcast for sure.
That's good.
Guys, the next episode is going to be Romero Ramo telling his story. Get ready for that one. I can already tell you it's a banger. Proper good episode. You're going to love it. And anyone that's interested to hear more about the MFPA, you're going to have the stuff up here behind me. Go check in the description down below. There'll be links to their website, their Instagram, and the rest of their pages where you can get some more information and possibly even get ready for next year's summer camp. Because again, I know they'll probably be running it again next year. If you're a player that's out of contract, you know where to go.
Yeah.
It's the place to be, guys. It's the place to be. We'll see you guys later.